And good day. Welcome. I'd like to invite you to sit back and enjoy this episode of Newsmakers. And joining me in the studios of JATV is Pastor Jeff Williams from Faith Community Church.
Yes.
Pastor Jeff, great to see you as always.
Good to see you, Rich, as always. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you in once in a while because honestly, there's never a shortage of things happening at First Community Church.
Well, Faith Community.
Or Faith Community, yes.
It's all right.
Yeah, sorry about it.
We're still friends.
We're still friends. We'll handle it until later on when I blow it again. You are always, I guess, in the news of sorts because there's a new initiative that goes on. We talk about the new initiative. It takes place, and we don't go back and revisit it from where it started from. And it's about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we first talked about Feed Your Soul.
Right.
And that's now up and operational, and it's going gangbusters.
Tell
us about Feed Your Soul.
Yeah, we just did 625 meals this past week. These are all home prepared. We built a state-of-the-art commercial kitchen, and they're hot meals or casserole, homemade salad. It's not fast food. It's not just like a sandwich or something. It's a really nice baked meal. And we have people come to the church. They text in advance how many meals they want. One thing that we didn't anticipate, which has been great, is there are some people who are, I would call them good Samaritans, and they would maybe order 20 meals, and they'll distribute them to people who need them. And others are homeless, live out of their cars. Others are just working a lot and having trouble making ends meet. But it takes about 350 volunteers to pull this off. Because you can't have everybody working every week. Burn them out.
Exactly.
And then we do take about 50 or so meals on foot to the homeless each week in various
So this
areas.
is a once a week affair?
This is every week. Every Tuesday we do Rock County, Janesville, and some in the Beloit area, and then Fort Atkinson on Thursday. So we make the food in advance on Tuesday in the big kitchen and bring it to
the various sites.
There's a church in Fort, the Methodist Church, that lets us use their building, which we're appreciative of.
When we first had a conversation so many months back, when it was still the idea phase, there were so many things that you needed to do to get it kicked off the ground. And organizing an event of this magnitude takes an immense amount of energy and logistics. But you ended up building a commercial kitchen, recruiting the volunteers, getting consistent volunteers is a huge process in and of itself.
Could always use more.
And you can always use more. And the community has welcomed it with open arms.
Yeah, I think the word's really spreading. Our numbers are they're not going up exponentially, but it's not a gradual increase either. It's,
do people need to register beforehand, or?
Yeah, we like to know like the Thursday before how many meals, because we have to shop at Woodman's and get our supplies. Woodman's been a great supporter, sponsor, along with Jones Dairy Farm in Fort, helping us with meat and things like that. The latest thing, though, is we are also going to be taking food to people. And I'd mentioned that to you earlier, that the definition, I preached a sermon on mercy in our church, and that the definition of mercy was compassion in action. And the way you remember that is CIA. And so I said, one of these days, we'll have a ministry called CIA. I said, I don't know what it is or when, but it's going to happen. Well, it's getting ready to happen.
Wow.
And we have a special van that will have food in. It'd be like the Schwann's truck with an oven. And we'll be able to have warm sandwiches in there. Also, we'll have fresh fruit, snacks, even things like diapers and socks and other items that the people we're trying to reach will need. And then just like with the Feed Your Soul ministry, on a given day of the week, we'll go to certain locations. We've identified there are people who are struggling, who are in need of help.
This is in the planning phases.
Yes.
Is there a timeline when it's going to roll out?
The timeline is fall, late fall.
Okay.
We've got to build a garage. That's important, right? And we've had catalytic converters stolen off our vehicles, and get a nice food truck. You don't want that vandalized. It's kind of low to vandalize a church, but
one would say
that has happened a couple times, and
it's
to
more than
protect
kind of
them.
low.
Protect the vehicles and protect them from the winter. So we need the garage, and we're in the process. We've already got the van, the food truck, in the process of designing it, what it's going to look like, and so forth, and where it's going to go on the church grounds. But Feed Your Soul will run that ministry, and they'll take it where it's needed. So it's food to people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How is the outreach handled on the Feed Your Soul program, I guess, to begin with?
Right.
How do you do that? How do you get people, one, you reach out to them, how is that happening? And two, how do they reach into you to be part of the program?
Sure. Well, we can always, if they want to reach out to us, we can maybe read the contact information for the church before we're done. But other things we do, because we have a large congregation, we've got several thousand people every week that we can draw from. We have, from time to time, recruiting. We just say, hey, if you want to be involved with Feed Your Soul, you want to learn about this ministry, maybe you want to prepare food or hand the food to people. That's where the real ministry takes place, is when you're bringing it to the car and just talking to them, helping us with various aspects of that. So we'll have an organizational meeting. The next one is in July, I believe, middle of July, and just letting people know what it's about. So primarily it's our church, but we're certainly welcome to having other groups or other people come in and help us.
And people can go online and reach out and touch Faith Community Church. And,
Right.
And your website is faithcommunitychurch.net.
Faithcommunitychurch.net. If you go onto Google and type Janesville Church, Faith Community will probably pop up at the top, and just click on that. And but Feed Your Soul is run by a group, Rick Lowry, myself, Sue Castillo, Emily Kinn, some members from our church. And it's a challenge, right? Because it's every week. But people are very appreciative. They're very appreciative.
Are you means testing people? Do they have to jump through hoops to qualify?
No, not
or is
at
it
all.
more on faith?
It's an honor system.
It's an
right?
honor system. Okay.
It's an honor system. And we trust when they come through that there's a need. And just, hearing their stories, and like some of them, will, once they get the meals from us, they're going to work. They're taking them on foot to people. And it's just really touching to hear their stories. And you get to know them. You get to know their names, and you're able to say, hey, how'd the surgery go, Bill? And how's your wife doing, whatever it is. And you build some relationships with them, which has been impactful. It was interesting on our Good Friday service. I'm just going around meeting people, and I think I met 9 people. There was, I don't know, hundreds of people there, right? But I met probably 9 people that have been touched by our food ministry. That means a lot. It's connecting with people. Food is an important connection point, right? There's a story in the Bible where Matthew becomes a disciple, and he invites Jesus and the disciples to his house with his tax collector friends. Now, in the scripture, they call them sinners, right? And we love tax collectors now. They're our favorite people. But in times of the Bible, tax collector was a...
That was a pretty evil term.
Yeah, it was, because you were working for Rome, against your own people. Right. And so Matthew invited his friends, and Jesus brought the disciples, and they mingled together over food. So it's about connection. I think I shared with you about the children's park we want to build, the indoor playground. That would be about connection too. And we could talk about that if you want.
I have to tell you that there is so much going on at Faith Community Church that it's tough to keep up. You have the garage project this year.
Right.
A couple of years ago was the big commercial kitchen.
Food and the courtyard.
In the courtyard.
Counseling
and
center. Yeah.
You're a growing, bustling church facility.
Right.
In the future, tell me a little bit about the children's chapel and play area
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
new space that you're planning on
Right.
an already elaborate campus.
Well, a lot of it depends on what the city, allows you to do or not do, right? But the plan is offices, classrooms, which we need, the garage, renovation of the sanctuary with new lighting and new sound, but then also a chapel where we could have gathering of people, but also our children's church really wants to expand, and we're expanding with a playground is the concept. That will have a place where children during church on Sundays and Wednesdays, when their parents can pick them up before children's church is done, there's a little bit of time left that they can play, go down the slides, climb on the walls. It's going to be, I wish I show you a conceptual drawing.
Yeah.
We got to show the congregation first, but it's fantastic looking. And it'll be a lighthouse, and the lighthouse will go over the wall on the interstate. So the park would have a lighthouse theme to it.
Okay.
And
This
maybe
is a
there'll
combination indoor and outdoor facility?
No, just indoor.
Just indoor.
And it'll be we're hoping to get a lighthouse with a slide that goes around it and areas to climb and some netting and things like that. Just a fun place that we really don't have. I think there's a small one at McDonald's. I think the Chuck E. Cheese is mostly games, right?
Yeah.
There's no real play area indoors. And so there'll be certain times of the week it'd be open to the public.
Okay.
And we haven't decided those, but probably several times a week that it'll be open or that kids can come and play for free, but also have it available if you want to have a birthday party or something like that, have a private room.
Is the plan to have it supervised and
Yes, that we
staffed
would have.
so that you can keep everyone safe
Right.
and secure?
Right. We would have staff and volunteers there.
Those sorts of things are, I guess, only possible for a church that's thriving and growing and truly fulfilling its mission. When we were chatting off camera, you mentioned it's been 30 years on JATV for you and services.
Yeah.
Where does the time go?
Since they started, I think.
Yeah, you were one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
And
It's great.
it's been kind of interesting to think about the changes that have occurred in those 30 years, not only at JATV, but it's tough to keep up with everything happening at Faith Community Church.
It's growing. It's hard for me to keep up now. We've got like 32 staff, I think, and just hired an executive. That's really helpful.
Well, it's a compliment, I guess, to say it does take a village, and it does take a Faith Community Church to make a village be fulfilled.
No, we've got a great congregation staff. I've been there 35 years, so it's a long time.
Long and fulfilling.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of time, which is always unfortunate, but it always seems to happen when I have a chance to visit with you, Pastor Williams.
Thanks, Rich.
Pastor Jeff Williams, 6 services on the weekend?
Yes.
That's a lot of services on the weekend. You stay way too busy. On top of that, Feed Your Soul, coming soon, Compassion in Action, and building project after building project. Faith Community Church, reach out and touch it. It's faithcommunitychurch.net is the website. And
can I just say I appreciate you, Murphy, and Severson, and you. What you guys do is fantastic.
Thank you.
Appreciate your friendship, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you so kindly. That's another week of Newsmakers. Next week we'll surprise you with somebody new and different, somebody else that's making a difference in your community. So stay tuned. It's another product of the Rock County Civics Academy, where we want to connect you with your community in a way that allows you to stay informed, get involved, and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.